This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Online, sunburymotors.com. Ford. Boy, do I love that vehicle. Ford, Kia, Hyundai. Best in new inventory, great pre-owned inventory. The Sunbury Motors guarantee. And that pre-owned inventory is so important because that Sunbury Motors guarantee, they go over every vehicle with a fine-tooth comb. See, that's the difference. And the service department, whether it's quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, they handle it all. And they do a great job. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. My buying experience, the best buying experience I ever had with a car, ever. Can't thank Sunbury Motors enough for that. Stanger was great. Great job with the financing, everything. All right. We have Matt today, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'm sure that's going to be, yeah.
He's a little sad about last night.
Imagine how he's going to feel Sunday. All right. Yeah. So, yeah.
All in on the Commanders, are you?
No, I'm all in on Barkley.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Barkley is just, I'm sorry, I had the privilege of being around this guy for a few years. He's pretty good. All right, so we'll take a break. We'll come back with the master of disaster in a moment. He is good at it. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK. So, Todd, yesterday, when we previewed the game, how many points did I say Ohio State was better than Notre Dame?
Do you think 2 touchdowns? 10? Something like that.
I said 10.
All right.
Well, what was the final?
10.
Yeah. Okay. You guys act like I don't know what I see. All right. So, I mean, I don't get you guys. How much am I supposed to do here? I mean, come on. I'm carrying all this water here. Come on. I can guess like anybody else.
You've got broad shoulders, sir.
I mean, I can guess like anybody else. He's an expert. Yeah, sure you are. You're just more educated guessing. Hey, speaking of which, let's bring in Matt.
Actually, it was 11, not 10, but yeah, you were close enough.
Close enough? How much more accuracy do you want? How much more accuracy do you want?
I said it was close enough.
My goodness, I don't know who's crying more, you or Herb Street.
Well, I mean, I'll start there. I wasn't going to talk about this, but since you brought it up, I mean, the fact it's one. I appreciate the fact that he was good for during the game, but even for when you're doing the post game stuff, I know you're just on SportsCenter. It's not the game itself. You still have to be objective, and to get all sappy about this, I mean, come on, that's as nauseating as it gets. Like, stop it.
He speaks highly
Hold
of you.
Hold it together, dude.
He speaks highly of you.
I love Kirk Herbstreit. I think he's one of the best in the business, but he was out of line during the postgame last night. I'm sorry. Save it for when you're off the air and celebrate with all your other buddies and when you get back home to Columbus. Save the tears for then. Spare me while you're on the air still.
You know what? I'm much more inclined to give it a break. And here's the reason why. I mean, I've talked to him enough times, and he's done this show before. And I think he does a great job in the broadcast, which is the most important part.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree.
He cares about college football, and he cares about, his dog. He cares about his family, his kids. All right, and Ohio State's an important part of who he is, and he's from Ohio. Man, the post-game thing doesn't bother me because that to me is separate. It's okay. He wasn't out there openly rooting for Ohio State. I thought he just called a good, even game with Chris Fowler last night, and I think that's the only part that counts.
I mean, yeah, I get it to some extent. Maybe it's because I've got the blue and gold in me still hurting from last night that I say that, but I just go by the way how I personally do things, and I probably would have tried to leave that kind of celebration for off the air, unless maybe say if his son was. I know his son is getting a lot of looks right now. He's a really good quarterback, a high school quarterback. Let's say if he was on the team, like if he was Will Howard last night, then okay. I think that's an exception. But when it's just like your school, I mean, not only that, he should be kind of used to dealing with the success because Ohio State, it's their first national title since 2014, but it's not like they haven't been in this spot before. So I feel like he should be able to handle himself a little bit better in those circumstances. But maybe it's just me.
No, there are a lot of people that feel the way you do. I just kind of just give it a pass.
But as for the game last night, though, for Notre Dame, it was. I still do. I'm in the hole that this does not feel like 2013 when they lost to Alabama and got crushed by Alabama under Brian Kelly.
Right.
I feel like this is something that Notre Dame will be able to build upon. They still need to get some pieces offensively, like a guy that can actually throw the football, some more receivers. I think they have a good deep threat that they can build around in Greathouse, who finally came through at the end of the game last night. But in terms of this game itself, Marcus Freeman, he's done a great job. He deserves a contract extension. I love this guy as a coach. I think he's a great coach, great leader, going to be a great recruiter. He's already bringing in great top 5 classes. But he and the coaching staff had a bad game last night. You absolutely do not kick the field goal there. You have to go for it, especially when you know how bad the special teams and how shaky the special teams and Jeter's been this entire season. I get he was hurt and he had been better going into that kick last night, but you don't do it there. You don't let the time wind down at the end of the first half either when you've got 3 timeouts and you know Ohio State's getting the ball to start the second half and the game's already at a teetering point. And there were numerous other play calls throughout the game that I just felt were off. I didn't think Al Golden had a great game plan either last night. So I just think the Marcus Freeman and the coaching staff did not have a good game last night. But, I mean, they still have had a heck of a year. He's done a heck of a job with the program, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the future. But he was not great last night.
Field goal baffled me. It hurt watching it hit the upright, considering a week ago. It was... Well, I had to call it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, he had been getting better. He's made a lot of big kicks through the first 3 CFP games, but other than that, the kicking game was not good this year at all. Special teams in general was not good at all this year for Notre Dame, especially the kicking game. I mean, just the fact of the way where the game was at that point, you had to go for it. Bill wasn't going to do much for you there, but just the fact that, it hasn't been your greatest strength all year and you still do it, I just didn't understand that.
Now you got the championship game coming up, And speaking of timeouts, what the heck was Nick Sirianni doing at the end of the game? I mean, Nick.
Your guess is as good as mine. And honestly, Steve, I'm scared to death about this game Sunday. I did not want the Commanders to begin with. I have said that before. But I just knew one way or the other the Eagles were going to have to get through them if they were going to get to the Super Bowl. Right. And here we are right now. And I don't feel good about this game. I really do not. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
But this is something nobody's talked about. And I don't get why people don't talk about these things. I don't get, at the end of the Rams game, Sirianni needs to be calling timeouts. Okay? He needs to. For two reasons. Number one, he's got a team going no huddle. Your team is gassed. You can't substitute. You're playing the last two possessions, the worst defense of the day. Right? I mean, the last two possessions the Rams had, right? The Eagles defensively did nothing.
Yeah, they had 135 yards on those two drives alone. And I was thinking the same thing too, Steve. Because the Eagles had all three timeouts, and you only need a field goal to go back and win the game.
Right. I mean, you're trying to save your offense time, but also so you can substitute on defense and give your defense a rest. It goes back to the question I asked John Griffin yesterday. You're only playing a 7-man rotation right now. Are you calling timeouts at certain points in the second half near the under 12 and under 8 to buy your guys some time? Right? Well, Nick Sirianni's sitting there, and he's just sitting with his mouth wide open. Every time you look at him, like he didn't even know he was there.
I thought he was like that for a lot of his answers last night, or a couple nights ago, as to how he handled the game and why he called a pass play on 2nd and 7 on the series before. I mean, I thought he took a little bit of a step backwards last week, to be honest with you. And he has been winning me back, as you know.
I didn't get it.
Me neither.
And that confused me because I'm sitting there going, what are you doing? All right. I was literally sitting there what are you doing? All right. And that's going to be a problem with Washington this week because what doesn't Washington do? Oh, geez.
Well, they don't panic.
Come on. Oh, come on. Jeez. Why am I working with you people? Why? Do you watch the games? No. Washington doesn't huddle.
Yes, that's also correct. And you should just be looking at
what do you think I said?
What happened late in the game a few weeks ago, honestly.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, you can run the Eagles out of gas defensively. It's been shown over and over again. If you're in the right spot, you can. The Commanders ran them out of gas, and the Rams just about ran them out of gas. And you do, I don't care what you say, I've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks. You have a quarterback problem.
Well, in terms of this week, I mean, first of all, where's the knee at? That's the number one question there. And
you
secondly,
have a quarterback problem.
Here's the biggest problem here is Jalen Hurts. I think his biggest issue is and this goes back to his struggles last year, is he's afraid to get hurt. And then when he does get hurt, he becomes even more hesitant. And I think that's the primary reason why he holds onto the ball too long and takes too many sacks. It's because he's afraid to get hurt, and also he's afraid to make a mistake. Now, granted, he hasn't turned the ball over as much this year, which has been big, but you still can't take as many. I would say half. They had 7 sacks, the Rams. Half those sacks I would probably put on Jalen Hurts and not the offensive line, but the Eagles' offensive line was not great on Sunday. If they pass protect the way they did this Sunday, then it's not going to go well either. I can tell you that, too.
Well, I mean, he did fumble the one and lost.
Right, yeah, and Gainwell recovered it. You're right, yes.
Yeah. And the safety, I mean, look, his mobility is a big part of it. But you've got a quarterback. Of the 4 quarterbacks in the finals, he is the weakest of the 4. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not being a jerk here.
In this case, you're right. No, I do agree. In this case, you're right. Because I've always put Mahomes
was better than
and Josh Allen ahead of Jalen Hurts, and there's no question right now that Jaden Daniels is playing way better than Jalen Hurts is right now. So yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, you've got a quarterback problem. If you don't have Barkley, you are not in this game.
I also do agree with that, and I've acknowledged that before, that Barkley is the MVP of the Eagles' offense by far. There's no getting around that.
So you do have Barkley, which means you are smarter than everybody else, in all seriousness. And Barkley and Derrick Henry have combined to earn a lot of incoming running backs in the draft money and a higher draft position because they have revalued the running back position.
Absolutely, and it's quite fascinating how that worked out this year. It really is.
Now, as for the intimidation factor, the Eagles crowd is the most intimidating crowd in sports, correct? The Philadelphia,
I would say it's up there, but I can tell you that the intimidation might get pulled back because a lot of Eagle fans feel the same way I do. There's going to be, I don't even think at times, and especially at the end of the game, of course, there was a lot of anxiousness in the stadium. So I don't necessarily think that you can play that card this week, honestly, even though the Eagles are undefeated at home under Nick Sirianni in the playoffs.
Knicks, Diamondbacks, Phillies. What did Knicks, Diamondbacks, and Astros? What do they all have in common?
Well, they all won, but even the Knicks don't even count because you know what? The Sixers are such a disgrace of a franchise right now, led by the guy who also owns the Commanders right now. They're not even on. They're not even relevant right now. But the Diamondbacks, yeah, absolutely.
They all, and the Astros and the Knicks and the Diamondbacks all clinched in Philadelphia. I thought you guys were intimidating. They don't seem to be that intimidated.
They're still intimidating. They just handled it the best. Those teams did, and I think Washington will handle it fine.
Daylights out of you. What are you talking about? The one team threw a no-hitter.
Well, exactly. Some teams, as we talked about before at that time, some teams don't know how to handle it, like Atlanta did in those 2 series, and some do, like the Astros did, and like the Diamondbacks did, and everybody else.
Crowds don't intimidate people. I've done this a million years. You don't get intimidated by it. The other team makes you, it's an execution. Okay, now does a crowd play a role in, like, Daniel's ability to change plays, signals, things like that? But do you think you're sitting out there going, oh, my goodness, they're loud. What do I do now?
Well, not this week with Jaden Daniels, I can tell you that.
Or with Allen, or with Mahomes, or with Lamar Jackson. Hey, you think Matthew Stafford was intimidated last week?
No, absolutely not.
Of course
and let me tell you something else. The snow was not the reason why the Eagles won this game either, by the way. Because you look at those 2 defensive plays, Nolan Smith, clean swipe, Jalen Carter, clean swipe. Nothing to do with the snow. Spare me.
Oh, no. The Barkley's cut, that touchdown run that cut, he did not cut on the hash mark, which is significant. Like, why? Because, remember, the hash mark was shoveled. Barkley cut on the snow and the ice and whatever, and he made it look like it was a dry day in the summer. It was beautiful.
Exactly.
He is a home run hitter.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. multiple insurance needs. You need pros to handle everything you do. You need pros. Simple as that. And the pros are at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Number one, they're great people. Great people or great pros. Now, that is some combination right there. It felt like I had left Matt speechless.
Dumbfounded might be a better word.
Yeah, but that's every week.
No, that's true.
I can't stand that guy. Yeah. But I really mean it. I think I know you love the guy, and I get it. So I'm not being critical. He's a great. Hurts is a great leader. He does have terrific talent. No getting around it, okay? He does. Terrific talent. But since midseason last year, it has been interesting. How about that? I feel like he's been tentative. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's the concussions. I don't know, or the other injuries. I don't know. But he holds the ball too long. It's like he doesn't see the field as well. It doesn't mean he is not capable of making some good plays, because he does. But 2 years ago, every time he dropped back to pass, every time, I'm just watching just to watch. I'm not doing it except watching the games, right? And my thought every single time was, oh, man, he's going to make a play here. Oh, boy, he's going to hit somebody. I thought it was going to be complete every single time he threw the ball. Every time. That's how good I thought he was. Like, especially there's certain times he'd release the ball, and he'd release it in such a way you just knew he had something. The last year and a half, I watch him play, and you can tell he can't. I don't think he can see the field well enough. There's something missing about his ability to see the field. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if you think that, because like he drops back to pass now, and I'm not sure. Like,
I mean, there's something. I don't know. I don't know. Is spooked the right word? He's taken a lot of hits over the last year and a half.
I know he has. I got that. But see, I got the same feeling in broadcasting the USC game about Miller Moss. In seeing Miller Moss in person, I sat back and thought to myself, I don't think he sees everybody. He holds the ball too long, like he's just not quite sure. And that's a problem. When a guy is not sure, that's a big problem when a guy is not sure quarterback.
I don't think being digged up even more this week is going to help that either.
No. Look, and again, he's got a lot of guts. He's got a lot of guts. I kept waiting for somebody else to come in the other day after seeing the way he got bent back. That was hard. That was, it was scary.
I was going to say, I made a noise when it happened.
Oh.
That's never good.
Yeah.
And honestly, he's probably pretty lucky to. I think I said this on Twitter, maybe to Neil while I was watching the game. Is I can't believe that he was able to move around after that. I just can't believe they didn't give him something to make him mobile in the little blue tent.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you wonder. But it's I don't know.
Because he didn't seem too sure of it himself in the post-game press conference.
Well, I don't think he wants to talk about it.
No, but I'm sure. I just feel like the vibe he gave is he wasn't sure how hurt he was at that point either.
Yeah, but you know what? You gotta, like, this is one of those things where, like, how did he wake up yesterday?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's one thing in the moment, you're not quite sure, and then you sleep overnight, and all of a sudden you wake up and go, hey.
It's swelled up to the same size as your head.
And it's like, oh boy.
Didn't really hear much about it yesterday, though, either.
No.
Probably won't until Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're going to hear anything about it Saturday. I don't think you're going to hear anything about it all week.
Well, other than practice availability stuff.
Yeah, practice availability. I mean, but all he has to do is step on the field and he's available.
Well, I was just going to say, it'll say knee. It did not practice knee/rest.
Or took one snap. And,
yeah,
but he take two snaps, and you can say he took snaps. Okay.
Or do it hockey style and just call it a lower body injury.
Oh, boy. Yeah. I got to give hockey credit on that one. You know, they came up with one that nobody else has come up with. You're like, that's pretty good. Upper body, lower body. Encompasses a wide range of possibilities. I said yesterday in the show I thought Ohio State, just seeing the two teams in person this year, I felt they were 10 points better than Notre Dame. Riley Leonard is a good quarterback, and he's a gutsy quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's a good, solid college quarterback. Okay? And his ability to run is so important. So important. You know, they got that opening drive. They converted that fourth down. There were a couple of key moments in that game. The field goal, of course, was one of them. I'm still baffled why Notre Dame didn't go for it there. That's just me. They ran the fake punt, but the weird part about the fake punt is I don't know about you, but I kind of felt like it was going to happen. How about that? It's like, you know what I mean?
To be quite honest, I kind of agree with Matt. I think they were, I don't want to say intimidated by the moment, but I think the coaching staff for Notre Dame was nervous early.
Well, you're down 31-7.
Well, I know, and I feel, they did a great job of getting it back together and making it a game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But and when they interviewed Freeman after the first half, he certainly didn't sound he sounded more confident in the first half after the Penn State game than he did coming off the field.
Well, because at the end of the first half, what did his team do?
Well, they did score with the backup, but
they scored and got a field goal out of it, and they dodged a huge one because the fumble by Angeli. I mean, Abdul Carter. I think if Abdul's got full use of both arms, Penn State recovers and I think wins the game. Okay, but Notre Dame was able to recover it, and they got the field goal out of it. A key for Notre Dame all season long was their ability to win the middle eight. In the middle eight last night, they got outscored 14-0. Ohio State scored 7 to close the first half, and the touchdown pass to Judkins, and made it 21-7. That's about where I joined in on the game because I was doing the Penn State Rutgers game last night. And I saw that last drive. I'm like, okay. And then Ohio State got the ball to start the second half, essentially, except for the kickoff and maybe a kneel down. Ohio State had a 2-for-none, Todd. And in the 2-for-none, they scored 2 touchdowns. And so if you're wondering why Marcus Freeman may not have seemed sure of himself going into halftime, he just gave up a touchdown in the waning seconds of the first half, and he knows that same team is getting the ball back to start the second half. Not exactly a comfortable position to be in.
I mean, they really pushed them around in the first half, too.
But in the second half, Notre Dame in the second half, they got down 31-7, and Ohio State got very conservative with how they played. And Notre Dame did a great job of stacking the box, took away Judkins, took away Henderson, took away the running game of Howard, and bought their offense some time. Also, when Ibuka had that terrific run and then got stripped of the ball, I think, I'm trying to think, it may have been Jack Kaiser that stripped it. I'm trying to remember. And Notre Dame recovered it. I think Bowen recovered it. Kind of gave him some life. And not only did they score a touchdown, they got a 2-point conversion. Then they get another touchdown, another 2-point conversion. They're doing, like, in the math, they're doing all the things right. And I thought Notre Dame showed a lot of guts by the way they came back. Now, that part didn't surprise me. Because I thought against Penn State, Notre Dame showed a lot of guts. I mean, Penn State went in front, Notre Dame came back. Then Penn State showed its guts, and they came back. And then in the end, Notre Dame came back. It was just, both teams were gutsy by the way they came back. And I think that is not a surprise. I will say this, in watching the game in the second half, really watching the second half, because, obviously the first half I didn't see, except for the last drive of the first half, I didn't see anything because I was doing my own game, which was a big win for Penn State last night. Very big. They needed that game. But did you watch the pass coverage?
It's one of those things, like, in the moment, you're like, why are they going 0 on Jeremiah Smith?
Oh, well, that part, yeah, I'll get to that part in a second.
No, but
I'll get to that part in a second. I'm talking about Ohio State's pass coverage.
Oh, well.
My goodness. What was really interesting, you want to talk about, this is something I did mention the week of the Ohio State game. Okay, so I did mention this the week of the Ohio State game. And is that they are a clutch and grab secondary. Their thought process is quite simple. They can't call all of them. Right? Okay? Can't call all of them. Remember the play? Well, there's a couple plays. One of them, Igbignosin on the sideline, grabbing, wasn't Bo Collins. I think it may have been.
Was it the tight end?
No, it wasn't Evans. But he grabs him on the sideline, grabbed him, hold him, both arms around him. And then they call the penalty on him. He threw his hands up, why? Why? What did I do? What do you mean, what'd you do? Come on. Then there was the one by the goal line. It was the fade that they ran at the goal line. Burke defends it well. It's just a jump ball. No interference there. But there's a penalty marker for holding. Well, they said, it's on Caleb Downs. Well, you watch the replay of it. Igbignosin's holding his guy. Caleb Downs is holding his guy. Hancock tackled his guy. There should have been 8 flags out there. I'm sitting there going, this is what we're, how we're playing defense now? So I don't know. It's, you watch it and go, nah, that's not the way to play football. Right? You got to call some things in the first halves of games to set the tone for a much cleaner second half. And I do understand that officials do not want to keep holding up the game, okay, over with penalties. You don't want to have one of those 15, 20 penalty games. Every time you turn around, there's a flag, and we got to wait and hear what it is. You know what I mean?
Did you see the Fordham UMass basketball game last week?
We saw the end of it because Dick had it on his phone and we were watching it.
Oh, I just mean like the box score from it with like 6 guys fouling out. And they shot like 110 foul shots.
Right, you're right. No, yeah, no. We Dick and I talked about that. It was like, you got to be kidding me. So, yeah. Penn State basketball last night. Great win because they needed it. There's no question they needed it. They need to get it back on track. When they played Oregon, they played a terrific game against Oregon and lost by 1. They didn't have Ace Baldwin. Okay. And I'll tell you where it really became important. It really became important at the end of the game. The last 4 possessions Penn State had at the end of the Oregon game, the person that crossed the timeline with the ball was the only person that took a shot, because not one time after they crossed the timeline did Penn State make a pass in the half-court offense. And one of the keys is to make the ball hot, get a better shot. And so last night, you had that. Ace was there running the show. He ended up with 22. And Penn State was able to. There were 2 key moments. One that got Rutgers back in the game. So let's talk about that. I'll start with that one. Yannick Conan-Niederhauser, and he did this. He fouled out against Michigan State in the same play. They're just doing a blitz. All you're trying to do is just give him a look. Big man comes out, kind of forces you back, and then you pop back. Except he's been fouling guys. Right? In Michigan State, he fouled out on that play 40 feet from the basket. What are you doing? Right? And then last night, he commits that foul, and they're nowhere near being in their offense. Right? Nowhere near being in the offense. And it allowed them to get some free throws, free points, kind of get them back a little bit. Okay, now Penn State fended it off and won the game by 8. But I'll tell you the key moment for Rutgers was this. They're up 53-50. They come down the court, and Martini's about 27 feet from the basket. Takes it, fires up a 3. Well, it's not good. Right? And I was sitting there, and I said it on the broadcast. I said, Dick, I'm marking that one down. I said, that's a turning point. Happy on the farm shot. Said it on the broadcast. You just have it. You can get a sense for these things. Penn State ran off 11 unanswered points after that. It was such a dumb play. You sit there and go, what are you doing? Hey, number one, you're not that good. So get into your offense, make a play, and then when you get a good shot, which he's a good, Martin's a good player, but he's not that good. He's come down like, I'm going to take a shot. You wasted a possession for your team on the road. What are you doing? Bailey was unbelievable. 30 points, 13 of 15. 3-pointers, no problem. He's 6'10", no problem. Dunks, no problem. He takes like a step and a half. He covers 15 feet.
I don't know. The way Harper started early, too, I thought he was going to go off.
Harper, Ace shut him down. He only had 7. He was 3 of 11 in the game. That was it.
Oh, the first, and what, 5 in the first minute?
Yeah, yep. He did, but you know what? But Ace shut down, because now let's go the game within the game. Bailey had 30. Fouled out, including 2 technical fouls. I don't get what you're doing on that. You're on the road. Don't be shoving guys. Don't be yappy at them. Just go to the other end and play ball. You're playing great. You are playing great. Just keep playing great. But he had to have, for whatever reason, he lost his poise. But he's 13 of 15. Everybody else was 14 of 39. That's 36%. See, they did a great job on everybody else. And that was, I thought that was big. In other words, yes, a great player, and he's a great player, had a great night. Harper's the leading scorer in the Big Ten. And they held him to 7. And the issue all season long for Rutgers has been this. Bailey, Harper, but who's going to help them? Well, last night it was only Bailey and nobody else helped him. All right. Come back. Neil Coulong in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
There's something to be said about a sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You could shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
Anthracite Industries, a division of Asbury Carbons and a world leader in the carbon industry, is hiring. We're looking for dedicated individuals to join our team as general laborers on first and second shift. These entry-level positions offer on-the-job training, perfect for anyone who enjoys hands-on work. If you're a hard worker, take pride in your work, and want to be part of a growing industry, Anthracite Industries is the place for you. We offer competitive benefits, including health insurance, profit sharing, vision and dental coverage, paid vacation and sick leave, plus employment development programs and opportunities for advancement. Ready to shake things up? Apply today at Anthracite Industries, 610 Anthracite Road, Sunbury. It's time to join a company where hard work pays off.
Nurses, accountants, waiters, and welders, anyone can be injured on the job, unable to function properly. It affects your work and everyday life. Coach soccer, carry groceries, carry your child. No one has helped more people heal from work injury and rebuild their lives than the Workplace Injury Institute at Shamokin Dam Health Center. Call 743-4333.
Shamokin Dam Health Center, designed with you in mind.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/radio and use code radio for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/radio and use code radio at checkout.
You're listening to News Radio 1070 WKOK Sunbury. You can hear us anywhere in the world with the Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Michael Wallace. Some states are already taking on President Trump over one of his first actions of his second term.
More than a dozen states are challenging President Donald Trump's executive order ending the constitutional guarantee of birthright citizenship. New Jersey Democratic Attorney General Matt Catrillo.
Hundreds of thousands of children who are born in this country to non-citizen parents each year will suddenly have an uncertain legal status.
Mr. Trump's order would end the policy of automatically granting citizenship to people born in the U.S., a move he vowed on the campaign trail he would do once in office. Jim Kursula, CBS News.
The leader of the Proud Boys and the founder of the Oath Keepers have been released from prison following Trump's pardons for 1,500 January 6th rioters. Michael Fanone is a former Metropolitan Police officer who suffered a heart attack when a rioter shocked him with a stun gun.
I can assure you that these individuals will go on to commit acts of violence, maybe even commit acts of violence against me or members of my family.
President Trump attended a church service at Washington National Cathedral today.
The service, a tradition when a president takes office, brought together members of several faiths with this central theme:
to pray for unity as a people and a nation.
The Right Reverend Marianne Edgar Buddy speaking directly to President Trump.
I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
When asked what he thought of the service, Trump said they could have done better. A rare snowstorm has paralyzed much of the Deep South today. CBS's Katie Weiss is in New Orleans.
I saw some drivers on the roads driving very slowly and cautiously. But here at this rooftop area where I'm set up, I've been talking with some of my neighbors and some folks who live here who have been sheltering in place, heeding the warnings to not get out on the roads.
Almost every flight at New Orleans airport was canceled. A Nevada judge has rejected a bid by the accused killer of Tupac Shakur to have his murder case dismissed.
Life goes on. Through the empty halls, breath stinking in my drawers.
Dwayne Davis claims he never should have been charged with the 1996 shooting because he reached immunity deals with authorities years ago. The judge ruled Davis has shown no evidence of those deals. The oldest and last surviving member of the band has died. Garth Hudson played piano, organ, synthesizers, and saxophone. He was the only member of the band who didn't sing. Garth Hudson was 87 years old. The band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.